The sky above was dark with strange colors, like green lightning dancing inside purple clouds. The human ship, Explorer 9, was spinning out of control. Sparks flew from its side as it crashed through the atmosphere of an unknown planet. The ship roared like thunder until it finally hit the ground with a massive crash, tearing across the jungle floor and smashing through alien trees. Inside, Cole, a calm but determined technician, opened his eyes. Smoke filled the cockpit, and lights blinked red. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he moved slowly and checked his vitals. Alive. Ship log, location, he asked. The screen flickered. Error. Unknown coordinates. Cole didn't panic. He had trained for dangerous landings. He grabbed his emergency bag, a small toolkit, and opened the hatch. The outside air was hot, filled with the smell of burning metal and something sweet, like wild fruit mixed with oil. Strange sounds came from the jungle. Insects chirped in sharp, clicking rhythms. The trees looked twisted, and the ground seemed to breathe. As he stepped out, something moved behind him. Fast. Cole turned, but too late. A sharp blue net flew at him and pulled him to the ground. Before he could move, figures surrounded him. They were tall, their armor shining like wet stone. Their weapons had curves and lights, shaped differently from any human tech. One of them stepped forward. She removed her helmet. Her skin was pale blue with a soft shine, her eyes large and silver, and her ears slightly pointed like small fins. Her face had a quiet beauty, sharp but not harsh. She looked directly at Cole, curious and serious at the same time. He stared back calm. "Why are you not afraid, human?" she asked, her voice smooth but surprised. Cole blinked, because being afraid won't change what's happening. She frowned slightly, then gestured. 2 soldiers pulled him up. "You have landed on Threxel, a planet not marked on your human maps. It is a place of trial and survival. No outsider leaves it alive." Cole didn't respond with fear. He only asked, "Are you going to kill me now, or ask more questions first?" Her eyes narrowed, but not in anger. "You speak like a warrior, but you wear no armor." "I fix machines, but I survive things others don't," Cole said simply. She looked at him for a long moment, then turned. "Bring him." The group marched through the jungle. Cole walked without resistance. He observed everything, the way they moved, their formation, even the soft humming from their weapons. They were careful, trained, but they didn't expect him to stay calm. They arrived at a hidden entrance covered in vines. A door opened into a tunnel carved into stone. Blue lights glowed gently on the walls. Inside, the air was cooler. The path led down into a massive underground city with tall pillars and floating platforms. It was beautiful and strange, nothing like human cities. Cole was led into a circular chamber. Many alien figures sat in seats around him. At the center stood the same woman. She now wore a long coat with symbols on her shoulders. "I am Valka, daughter of the High Commander," she announced. "You are the first human to set foot on Threxel. This world is not part of any trade map or alliance. It is used by our people to test fear and survival." Cole nodded. "Then I guess I'm part of your test now." Murmurs spread through the room. Valka raised her hand, silencing them. "You speak bravely, but many beings speak before they scream." Cole's face remained steady. "I don't scream." She stepped down from her platform and stood in front of him. "Do you know what we do to outsiders who crash here?" "I have a guess, but if I'm wrong, I'll learn." Velka tilted her head. "Are all humans like you?" Cole shrugged. "Some cry, some run, some fix things." She didn't smile, but something softened in her voice. "We will not kill you yet. You will face our trials. We will see how long your calm will last." Then she turned and walked away, leaving the room in silence. 2 guards took Cole to a holding chamber with no windows. Still, he didn't panic. He sat down on the cold floor and began checking the tools in his belt. Somewhere, watching from a hidden camera, Velka stared at the screen. She whispered to herself again, "Why is this human not afraid?" And for the first time in a long while, she was curious. Cole sat silently in the holding chamber. The walls were smooth stone, with no marks or doors. Just a single blue light on the ceiling that never flickered. No guards were present. No sound came from outside. But Cole was not scared. He adjusted the small tool hidden in his boot, just in case he needed it. His eyes moved slowly across the room, observing every corner. Survival began with understanding your environment. Suddenly, a loud hum echoed through the walls. The floor shook lightly. A door opened from the stone, revealing Velka. She entered alone, dressed in a long dark cloak. Her silver eyes locked on Cole. "You slept well?" she asked. "I don't waste energy worrying," Cole answered, standing up. Velka stared at him. "We have decided to test your fear. You will be taken to the Hall of Illusions. It is not physical pain that breaks minds there. It is the mind itself." Cole gave a small nod. "Then I'll use my mind to survive it." She didn't understand him. Her people had watched warriors cry inside that chamber. Machines read their emotions and used their fears against them. Cole, however, showed no concern. No nervous twitch. Not even a blink of hesitation. 2 guards joined them and walked Cole through a long corridor. Strange symbols lit up on the walls as they passed. It felt like being inside a living machine. Soon they arrived at a circular room with a tall gate. The walls were covered in moving lights, flowing like rivers. One guard handed Velka a small controller. She turned to Cole. "Once you enter, the chamber will search your memories. You won't see fake things. You'll see what your mind hides from you." Cole looked at her, calm. "Good. Maybe I'll learn something." Velka raised an eyebrow. "Even our strongest warriors scream in there." Cole replied, "I'm not your warrior." The gate opened. Cole walked inside. The chamber sealed behind him. Darkness. Then slowly, light. He stood in a copy of his old bedroom. Earth-style posters on the wall. A dusty floor. Outside the window, he saw fire raining from the sky. The city was burning. Screams echoed. Cole didn't move. He knew it was not real, but it still felt familiar. Then he heard a voice, his sister's voice. The last time he saw her alive, she was running during the Great Evacuation. The illusion made it feel like that day again. He turned. There she stood, eyes wide, calling his name. "Cole, please, I can't hold on." She slipped over the broken stairs. The same moment, the same memory. But instead of running to save her, like before, Cole stood still. This wasn't real. This was the machine trying to make him react. "Nice try," he whispered. The scene changed instantly. He was in space now, alone in a suit. No oxygen. No ship in sight. Cold silence all around. Panic would come for most, but Cole closed his eyes. "This isn't fear," he said to himself. "This is data." The machine tried again. His old squad. His failure to fix a power relay that caused an explosion. The angry faces. The guilt. The noise. But Cole stood still in the center of the chaos, watching, breathing slowly. It went on and on. Fake failures. Regrets. But the same thing happened again and again. He did not break. Outside, Velka stared at the readings. His fear levels were low. She increased the power. The symbols on the walls flared. The air in the control room became heavy. One of the guards stepped back. "My lady, if this continues, the machine may overload." "Let it," she said. "I want to know what this human truly hides." But the readings did not change. Cole remained steady. Then something strange happened. The machine stopped. Inside the chamber, Cole stood surrounded by calm blue light. The illusions were gone. He heard a soft peep, and the walls opened. Velka was waiting. She walked in slowly, staring at him as if he were a puzzle. "You did not scream," she said quietly. "No," Cole replied. "You didn't break. You didn't fall. Even when the machine pulled from your worst memories." Cole shrugged. "Fear is real. But so is control." Velka looked down. "You should not have passed. No one does." Cole looked her in the eye. "Then maybe you need to update your machine." She didn't laugh, but her eyes showed something close to respect. "I will take you to the next test," she said. "Let's see how deep your courage truly runs." As they walked away, one guard whispered to another, "What kind of human is this?" The other replied, "One that even the machine fears." The next test was unlike anything Cole had ever seen. Velka led him through a long, twisting tunnel that seemed to sink deeper and deeper into the planet's core. The air grew hotter as they moved forward. The walls around them were jagged, like the inside of a volcano. Finally, they arrived at the entrance of a vast underground cavern. Lava flowed through cracks in the stone, glowing a deep orange red. The air smelled of burning metal and sulfur. A deep rumble echoed from the walls. "This is the fire pit trial," Velka explained, her voice steady despite the heat. "You must survive the night in the pit. The heat and the creatures that roam it will test your limits. Many have died here. The ones who survive are marked as warriors." Cole surveyed the area. The ground was cracked and uneven, with rivers of molten rock running through the cavern. Strange creatures with glowing eyes watched from the shadows. The temperature was unbearable, but Cole didn't flinch. He had been through worse. "I faced fire before," he said simply. "This doesn't scare me." Velka narrowed her eyes. "We shall see." Without another word, she pushed him into the cavern. The gate slammed shut behind him. Cole was alone. He took a deep breath and immediately began to scan his surroundings. The first thing he noticed was the uneven ground. It was treacherous. Any wrong step could send him tumbling into one of the rivers of lava. But he was calm, focused. Panic would only make things worse. He walked cautiously, stepping carefully over the cracks. The heat was intense, but Cole had trained in worse conditions. The key was to keep moving and never stop. After walking for a while, he heard the first noise. It was a growl, a low, menacing sound coming from the shadows. Cole didn't stop. He adjusted the straps on his pack and kept walking. The growl grew louder, and then, out of the darkness, a creature lunged at him. It was massive, covered in scales and spikes, with long claws that scraped the stone as it ran. Its mouth was wide open, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Cole didn't hesitate. He grabbed a long, jagged rock from the ground and swung it at the creature's face, narrowly missing its jaws. The creature hissed, angry, but it didn't retreat. Cole dodged to the side, avoiding the beast's claws. He threw the rock again, this time hitting it square in the eye. The creature roared in pain and backed away. But it wasn't finished. It circled him, its glowing eyes never leaving him. Cole stayed low, waiting for his chance. The creature lunged again, but this time, Cole was ready. He ducked under its attack, grabbed its tail, and swung it into the ground. The impact was enough to stun it. With one swift motion, Cole picked up another rock and smashed it into the creature's skull. It collapsed, lifeless, at his feet. Cole took a deep breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He didn't have time to rest. The trial wasn't over. He had to keep moving. Velka watched from the control room. Her eyes were fixed on the screens as she monitored Cole's progress. She had never seen a human survive the first creature, let alone defeat it. Her people had always believed that the fire pit trial was a way to break the spirit of any intruder. But this human was different. She leaned forward, watching closely as Cole moved through the cavern. He didn't show fear. He didn't show anything. Just calm, steady determination. "What is this human?" she whispered to herself. Cole continued his journey through the fire pit. The heat was unbearable, but he had learned to block out the discomfort. His mind was focused on survival, not on the burning around him. The ground beneath him cracked, sending a burst of steam into the air. He jumped back just in time to avoid falling into a boiling river of lava. His eyes scanned the cavern ahead. More creatures lurked in the shadows, but Cole had learned their patterns. They'd waited for weakness, but Cole wasn't weak. He had faced fear before, and it hadn't broken him. This trial would not break him either. Another creature attacked, this one even larger than the last. It had multiple legs and a long, snapping jaw that could crush bones. But Cole didn't flinch. He moved quickly, using the rocks and the environment to his advantage. The creature was fast, but not faster than him. He ducked under its snap and leaped onto its back, driving a sharp rock into its neck. It howled in pain, but he didn't stop. With a few more thrusts, the creature collapsed, defeated. Cole stood over it, breathing heavily but still in control. He looked up at the sky above the cavern, the orange light from the lava reflecting on his face. There was no fear in his eyes, only determination. Back in the control room, Velka stood motionless, watching the feed. The council members were growing restless. "Why is he still alive?" one of them asked. Velka didn't answer right away. She couldn't explain it. Cole was different from anything she had seen before. His calmness, his focus, it was as if nothing could shake him. "Keep watching," she finally said. "We need to see how far he will go." Cole finally reached the far side of the cavern. He was covered in sweat, his body sore from the constant movement. But he had survived. He had passed the fire pit trial. The gate on the far side of the cavern slowly opened. Cole stepped through, his eyes focused on the next challenge ahead. He had faced the fire, and he had come out stronger. Velka appeared before him, her eyes wide with something close to respect. "You have passed," she said. "You are the first human to survive the fire pit trial." Cole simply nodded. It wasn't about passing. It was about surviving. Velka watched him for a moment longer, then turned to lead him to the next test. She had no more words. For the first time, she was unsure of what to expect from this human. Cole wiped the sweat from his brow as he followed Velka through the narrow passageways of the alien facility. His body was sore from the intense heat and battles in the fire pit trial, but his mind was sharp. He had survived, but his journey wasn't over. He had passed one test, but more awaited him. Velka's steps were steady, and her presence was commanding. She had grown quieter since the fire pit trial, as if she were deep in thought. She didn't speak as they walked, but Cole could feel her watching him from the corner of his eye. He knew she was trying to figure him out, just as much as he was trying to understand her. The hallways seemed to stretch endlessly, and the walls pulsated with soft, blue light. Finally, they reached a large chamber with high ceilings. At the center of the room was a large circular platform, glowing faintly. "This is the Mind Walk," Velka said, her voice calm but carrying the weight of something important. "It will test your inner strength, not your physical ability, but your mental endurance." Cole glanced at her, but she didn't look back. She stepped onto the platform first, and he followed. As soon as he stepped onto it, the platform hummed, and the room around them began to shift. Cole blinked. The chamber vanished, replaced by a dense forest. The air smelled fresh, and the sky above was a deep blue, unlike anything he had seen on Earth. The platform beneath him was gone, and he was standing in the middle of the trees. Velka appeared beside him, as if from nowhere. Her eyes glowed softly, but her expression was unreadable. "This is the Mind Walk. It will show you your deepest fears. You must face them. You cannot escape, and you cannot lie to yourself." Cole stood still. "I'm not afraid." Velka looked at him, her eyes narrowed. "Then let us see if that is true." The forest around them began to twist. The trees became darker, the air thickened, and strange noises filled the air. In the distance, Cole could hear faint screams, followed by a low growl. He didn't flinch. His mind was calm. The ground beneath his feet trembled. The growl grew louder. Suddenly, from the shadows, A massive creature emerged. Its eyes were burning red, its mouth wide with rows of sharp teeth. It was a monster, something straight out of a nightmare. Its claws scraped the ground as it moved toward them. Velka didn't move. She simply stood next to Cole, watching him. The creature moved closer. For a moment, Cole's heart raced, but only for a moment. He knew it wasn't real. He had seen illusions before, in his past. This was just another one. It was testing him. His breath steadied, and his hands relaxed at his sides. He took a step forward, eyes locked on the creature. The monster stopped, confused by his calmness. Cole didn't show fear. He didn't show anger. He just stood there, unwavering. The creature growled again, but this time, its eyes flickered. The illusion was starting to crack. "You think it's real." Velka's voice echoed around him. "You think your mind can make it real. You think your fear can make it real." Cole stared at the creature as it grew smaller. The air cleared, the sky brightened, and the forest turned back to its peaceful state. The monster vanished. Cole exhaled slowly and turned to Velka. "I faced worse." Her gaze softened for the first time since their meeting. "You are unlike any being I have ever encountered." Cole didn't say anything. He wasn't here to impress her. He was here to survive. The scene around them shifted again. This time, the forest was replaced by a cold, metal room. A chair sat in the center, with a table in front of it. On the table was a holographic display, showing a face, a woman's face. Cole knew her instantly. It was his mother. The image of her smiled warmly, but then her expression changed. It grew sad, then angry. She began to speak, her voice filled with disappointment. "Why didn't you save me, Cole?" The hologram said. "You were too late. You always are." The words hit him like a punch. The memory of her death, the moment he couldn't save her, rushed back, unbidden. His chest tightened. His heart began to beat faster. The guilt that he had buried for so long began to rise. "I wasn't strong enough," he whispered. Velka was still beside him, watching. The hologram of his mother continued. "You failed me, Cole. You failed everyone." But then something inside him shifted. He had faced worse than guilt. He had faced death itself. He had lost many people, but he couldn't let that weigh him down. "No," he said, louder now. "I didn't fail. I did everything I could. And I'm still here." The hologram flickered, its expression shifting again, this time with pride. Cole took a deep breath, letting the guilt go. The scene faded, and they were back in the chamber. The platform beneath them was solid once more. Cole felt his heart calm, his mind clear. Velka's voice was quiet but full of understanding. "You are stronger than I thought." Cole nodded. Strength doesn't come from never feeling fear. It comes from facing it. Velka didn't speak for a moment, her expression softening. For the first time, Cole saw something new in her eyes, a spark of respect. She turned toward the exit, but before she walked away, she glanced at him one last time. "Maybe you are ready for what comes next." Cole's steps echoed softly as he followed Velka down the corridor. The stone walls were cool to the touch, and the air had grown colder as they moved deeper into the alien facility. The silence between them stretched long, and Cole couldn't help but feel the weight of the trials he had already faced. The mind walk had shown him his deepest fears, but he hadn't flinched. The fire pit trial had pushed his body to its limit, but he had survived. And now Velka was leading him to a new test. He didn't know what to expect, but whatever it was, he was ready. They reached a large chamber, far larger than the others. The ceiling stretched high above them, and in the center of the room was a massive door, intricately designed with alien symbols. It pulsed with a soft light, as though it were alive. Velka stepped forward and placed her hand on the door. It opened slowly, revealing a dark abyss beyond. The air grew thick, and Cole could hear a low hum coming from within. "Here," Velka said quietly, her voice filled with something close to caution. You must enter and face what lies beneath. Cole didn't hesitate. He stepped through the doorway, the darkness swallowing him as he walked deeper into the chamber. The door closed silently behind him. The air felt different here, dense, heavy. His senses were heightened. Something was in the shadows, lurking, waiting. Suddenly, the ground beneath him shifted. He stumbled, catching himself against the wall. He wasn't alone anymore. The sound of footsteps echoed, growing louder with each passing second. The temperature dropped even further. His breath came out in visible puffs, but he remained steady. This wasn't the first time he faced the unknown. Ahead, two glowing eyes appeared in the dark. Then another set, and another. Cole didn't move. He had learned not to show fear. One of the creatures stepped into the dim light, revealing its form. It was large, taller than any human, with long, muscular limbs covered in dark fur. Its face was a mix of beast and alien, with rows of sharp teeth that glistened in the faint light. It growled softly, the sound vibrating in Cole's chest. But Cole stood his ground. The creature circled him, studying him as if deciding whether to attack or not. Its eyes were calculating, almost intelligent. "You don't scare me," Cole muttered under his breath. "You're just another test." The creature paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. For a moment, it seemed to hesitate. Then, without warning, it lunged at him. Cole reacted instinctively. He ducked low and grabbed a piece of debris from the floor, swinging it at the creature's head. The blow landed, stunning it for a moment. But it quickly recovered and snarled, its claws swiping at him with deadly speed. Cole rolled out of the way, narrowly avoiding the swipe. His heart raced, but his mind stayed focused. He couldn't afford to make a mistake. This creature, whatever it was, wasn't like the ones he had faced before. It was smart, fast, and strong. The creature lunged again, but this time, Cole was ready. He dodged to the side, grabbed a loose piece of metal from the ground, and jabbed it into the creature's side. It roared in pain, but didn't retreat. Instead, it seemed angrier, more determined. The battle continued for what felt like hours, with Cole using every ounce of his training and survival instincts. He didn't tire. He didn't give up. His mind stayed clear, even as the creature's claws slashed dangerously close to his face. Finally, with one swift move, Cole drove the metal rod into the creature's chest. It let out a final guttural roar before collapsing to the ground, lifeless. Breathing heavily, Cole stood over it. He had done it. He had survived another test. But he wasn't done yet. As the creature's body crumpled, the shadows shifted again. More glowing eyes appeared. He wasn't alone. A second creature emerged from the darkness. Then a third. They were different from the first, faster, more agile. But Cole wasn't afraid. He had faced danger before, and he had learned how to fight smarter, not harder. He reached for another piece of metal and held it steady. The creatures circled him, growling in unison. They were testing him, just as Velka had said. But Cole wouldn't back down. This time, he didn't wait for them to attack. He charged forward, using the debris as a shield, and slammed into the first creature. It stumbled back, caught off guard. The second creature lunged at him, but Cole was faster. He swung the metal rod, knocking it away. The third creature was more aggressive, more focused. It came at him with a flurry of attacks, but Cole dodged and blocked with skillful precision. He fought with everything he had, his body moving on instinct, his mind clear and focused. After what felt like an eternity, the last creature fell to the ground, defeated. Cole stood over their bodies, panting, his clothes torn and bloodied. But he didn't feel fear. He didn't feel weakness. He felt something else. He felt alive. Velka appeared in the doorway, watching him silently. Her eyes were wide with something that almost looked like awe. She had seen many warriors face these creatures, but none had done so with the same calm determination as Cole. "You are different," she said, her voice softer than before. "You have passed the final test." Cole nodded, his breath steadying. "I don't need fear to survive. I just need to keep moving forward." Velka didn't respond immediately. She stepped closer, her eyes never leaving him. "You are stronger than I thought." Cole stood silently in the dark chamber, his body aching from the series of tests. His clothes were torn, his face marked with bruises, but his mind was clearer than ever. The creatures, the trials, none of them had broken him. He had faced them all and emerged stronger. Velka stepped forward, her eyes scanning him with a mixture of awe and curiosity. She had been watching him throughout the tests, observing every move, every decision he made. And now, for the first time, she was unsure of what to think. "You've done what no other has," she said quietly. "You've passed every trial. But it's not over yet." Cole nodded, not speaking. He was used to pushing through, never looking back. He had come this far, and he wasn't going to stop now. "I must take you to the council," Velka continued. "They will decide what to do with you now. They have been watching, but they will want to know more." Cole raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Velka hesitated. "The council has always believed that no human can survive Threxel's trials. They believe humans are weak, that they cannot endure our tests. You have proved them wrong." Cole studied her closely. "But they still see me as a threat, don't they?" Her gaze faltered for a moment before she nodded. "Yes, there are those who see you as a challenge. They will not welcome your survival." The word hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken tension. But Cole wasn't worried. He had faced worse. He had come from a world where people fought for survival every day. What was another council of aliens who didn't understand him? "I'll face them," he said, his voice calm. "Let's go." They walked through the corridors of the facility in silence, the air thick with the sound of their footsteps. The walls were adorned with strange, glowing symbols. Ancient, alien language that Cole had come to recognize but still couldn't fully understand. He had tried to learn some of their language during his time on Threxel, but there was little he could make sense of. Finally, they arrived at a large circular chamber. It was illuminated by soft, blue light that seemed to pulse with energy. The walls were lined with alien figures, sitting on high platforms, their eyes fixed on Cole as he entered. The council, the heart of Threxel. Velka stepped aside as Cole entered the center of the chamber. The council members stared at him, their faces unreadable. He could feel their eyes on him, weighing him, judging him. But he didn't flinch. He stood tall, his shoulders square. One of the council members, an older alien with dark blue skin, stood up. "So, you are the human who has passed our trials." Cole nodded. "I've survived. That's all that matters." The alien's eyes narrowed. "You should not have survived. Our tests are designed to break the will of any being. You are not a warrior. You are not even one of our kind. What are you?" "I'm human," Cole said simply. "And I survive." Another council member, a younger alien with silver skin, spoke up. "What is it about humans? Why are you so different from the others? You don't show fear. You don't give up. It's unnatural." Cole smiled slightly. "Maybe it's not unnatural. Maybe it's just that we know how to keep moving, no matter what." There was a pause. Velka watched from the side, her expression unreadable. She had been hoping for this moment, the moment when the council would finally see Cole for what he truly was. But she had no idea how they would react. The older alien spoke again. "You are a threat to our way of life. We cannot allow this." Cole's eyes hardened. "You think I'm a threat? I'm just trying to survive. That's all I've ever done." The tension in the room grew thick, and Cole could feel the weight of their judgment pressing on him. He didn't care. He had faced worse. He had been judged by his own people, too. The younger alien leaned forward, his voice softer. "But we have learned from you. You are stronger than we expected. You have passed our trials, and now we have questions for you." Cole crossed his arms, waiting. The older alien spoke again, But this time his tone had changed. You have shown us something new, something we did not believe was possible. Perhaps we were wrong about you. Cole didn't smile. I didn't come here to prove anything. I came here to survive. Velka stepped forward then, her voice low. I've seen it. The way you face everything without fear, without hesitation. You don't run. You don't break. You are what we need. The older alien turned to her, surprised. What do you mean? Velka looked back at Cole. I mean that perhaps we have underestimated humans. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we realized. There was a long silence, and the council members exchanged glances. Finally, the older alien spoke. We will let you leave. But know this. You have proven that humans can survive Threxel. You will not be the last. If others come, they will face the same tests, and we will be watching. Cole nodded. I'm not afraid of your tests, but I'm not here for your approval. The council seemed to consider his words for a moment before the older alien spoke again. Then go, human, and know that you are not like the others. You have earned your place here, whether we agree with it or not. As Cole turned to leave, Velka walked beside him. The weight of the council's words still hung heavy in the air, but he wasn't worried. He had proven his worth. He had faced their trials and come out stronger. You've done it, Velka said, her voice quiet. You've shown them. You've shown us all. Cole didn't respond right away. He simply kept walking, his eyes focused on the path ahead. For the first time, he felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had faced the impossible and come out on top. Cole stood on the rocky surface of the alien world, gazing up at the vast sky. The purple clouds drifted lazily across a deep blue sky, and the air felt heavy with the unfamiliar. He had been on Threxel long enough to learn its dangers and its mysteries, but now, after all the trials, he was ready to leave. Beside him, Velka walked quietly, her eyes occasionally flicking toward him. After everything they had been through, the silence between them had shifted. There was no longer the same cold distance. She had seen him face down the planet's harshest trials with calm determination, and now, for the first time, she truly respected him. You're leaving, she said softly, her voice almost lost in the wind. Yeah, Cole answered, his gaze still fixed on the horizon. I came here to survive. I did what I had to do. Velka stood beside him, silent for a moment, before speaking again. But you did more than survive. You changed something here. You made us see things differently. Cole turned to look at her. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a softness to it now. The same cold warrior who had watched him with suspicion now stood beside him with a different understanding. I'm not here to be a hero, he said quietly. I just do what needs to be done. Velka nodded slowly, understanding the simplicity in his words. It wasn't about being a hero or proving something to anyone. It was about surviving. And that was something Cole did better than anyone she had ever met. Are you ever afraid? Velka asked, almost as if she hadn't meant to say it aloud. Cole thought about it for a moment, his mind wandering back to the trials he had faced. The creatures, the illusions, the fire. The fear had always been there. But it was never enough to stop him. He shook his head. Fear is something you carry with you. But if you let it control you, it'll make sure you never move forward. I don't let it control me. Velka's eyes widened slightly, as if she were hearing something new for the first time. She had never considered fear that way. For the first time, she wasn't sure how to respond. For the first time, she felt she understood him. She had asked herself the same question many times, watching him from a distance. Why wasn't he afraid? Why wasn't he like the others? He wasn't human, yet he had become more human than anyone she had ever met. The journey back to the shuttle was quiet. The air around them seemed thick, as though the very planet were watching, waiting for something. But nothing happened. No further tests. No sudden challenges. The sky above them remained unchanged. When they reached the shuttle, Cole paused. He turned back to Velka, who had followed him in silence. "Why did you help me?" he asked, his voice steady but full of curiosity. "You didn't have to. You could have left me to face everything alone." Velka's eyes flicked away, but only for a moment. She had seen something in him that she hadn't expected. In his calm, in his resilience, she had found something worth fighting for, something she couldn't explain. "I didn't think you'd survive," she said, her voice quieter now. "I thought you would break, like the others. But you didn't. You made me see something new." Cole smiled slightly. "I'm not here for you to learn something new. I'm just trying to make it through." She stepped closer, her voice low. "But you've done more than that. You've changed the way we look at humans. And you've made me rethink everything." He didn't say anything. He simply nodded, as if accepting the weight of her words. The shuttle doors slid open with a soft hiss, and Cole stepped inside. Velka followed, standing by the entrance, watching him for a moment longer. Before the doors closed, she spoke one last time. "You don't understand, do you?" she said. "It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about changing everything that came before." Cole paused, his hand on the controls. He turned to look at her, his eyes steady. "Then that's what I'll keep doing." With a final glance at her, he started the engine. The shuttle hummed to life, and slowly it lifted off the ground, leaving Threxel behind. The planet that had tested him, that had tried to break him, now lay beneath him, silent and still. As the shuttle broke through the atmosphere and into the cold void of space, Cole leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes for a brief moment. He had made it. He had survived. And now he had nothing left but the open stars ahead of him. Velka, standing at the window, watched the fading planet below, her mind a mix of thoughts. She had seen something in Cole, a strength, a resolve that her people had never believed could exist in a human. She had come to understand him in a way she hadn't thought possible. And as the shuttle continued into the depths of space, she realized something else. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had more to offer than she had ever known.